So, you've got big dreams of being a successful game developer, or of making games that people will play for hours, games that inspire, challenge, and maybe even frustrate in a fun way. You've imagined seeing your game on a storefront, your name in the credits, and maybe even a heartfelt review from a stranger saying how your game changed their life. But there's a problem. You struggle to start or finish a project. You're ambitious, yeah, but you're also lazy. If you're watching this video, chances are there's a significant gap between what you want to achieve and what you are doing right now. You may know exactly what needs to be done, yet somehow the TV remote, your phone, or that game you bought last week seem infinitely more important. This creates a vicious cycle of guilt. You feel guilty for not living up to your potential. Over time, that guilt hardens into acceptance, and the dreams you once had turn into what could have been. If this sounds familiar or a path you are currently on, don't worry. This problem might not necessarily be that you are lazy. Rather, you could be stuck in a perpetual rest state of inertia. Inertia, in this context, is the tendency of someone at rest to stay resting, and of someone at work to keep working, unless acted upon by a force pushing them to the opposite state. To begin any task or project, you need an initial push or investment to break out of the resting state of inertia. The more you avoid starting or the more you keep postponing, the harder it feels to push yourself to start. Once you start, momentum can carry you farther than you would expect. The trick is figuring out how to get past that initial resistance and switch to the work state of inertia. Luckily, I know 4 practical ways to do this that don't require much effort or a total personality change. A technique you could use is microtasking. Big tasks can feel overwhelming, so the key is to make them smaller. For example, instead of saying, I need to build my entire character controller today, tell yourself, I'll just open Godot and set up the input mappings. The goal isn't to finish the whole project, rather, is to simply start. Why does this work? Starting is often the hardest part. Once you've opened the software and completed that tiny step, it's easier to tell yourself to just set up a movement function to make use of your mapped input and keep going on from there. And even if you stop after just completing the first macro task, you've still made progress. Do this on repeat, and those small micro tasks will add up to something significant. The 2 minute rule is a famous technique you could also employ. It's simple. Commit to working on something for just 2 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll work on this part of my project for just 2 minutes, and then lock in. Make sure you spend the whole 2 minutes doing that task you set out to do. Set a timer if you need to. If after 2 minutes you want to stop, you can. But more often than not, you find yourself working way past those 2 minutes. This works because of inertia. Once you're in motion, the momentum carries you forward. Public accountability is a powerful technique and motivator. Tell your friends, a Discord server, or even your followers what you're working on. For example, you could post, I'll finish my prototype by Friday, or I'll donate $50 to Red Indie Games. When others are aware of your goals, you're less likely to procrastinate because the potential embarrassment of failing publicly can be a strong push against your rest inertia. Plus, sharing your progress publicly can lead to encouragement and support from others, which can help you stay motivated and keep you in motion. But if you're shameless, this technique might not work for you. Finally, you could build a ritual around work. Ever notice how athletes have pre-game rituals? It's not just superstition, it's about getting to the right mindset. You can do the same for your work. Maybe you make a cup of coffee, put on your favorite lo-fi playlist, chant a mantra, clap 3 times, or spend 5 minutes organizing your workspace before diving in. By creating a ritual, you signal to your brain that it's time to work. Over time, this ritual becomes a powerful cue for transitioning from procrastination to productivity. Laziness doesn't mean you're doomed to fail. It's not the problem, it's just how you manage it that matters. By breaking big tasks into smaller ones, using tricks like the 2 minutes rule, holding yourself accountable, and building work rituals, you can outsmart your own procrastination. So get up, open that project, take one small step, Because, as the great Stephen King said, amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work.